Okay, so dear Dharma practitioners, be comfortable yourself and relax your body and keep your back straight and neck head straight in one line and your right palm on your left. So gently close your eyes and bring attention to this bell sound, and while you're focusing to the sound, mentally relax your body, relax your mind and relax your breathing with your thoughts. So do nothing extra. Just follow the sound, please. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Exalted One, the fully enlightened One. So, dear Dhamma practitioners, in these ongoing meditation sessions, we mainly try to share basic informations related to your meditation practice. So, our purpose is giving you some kind of opportunity and opening some windows for yourself to see your own practice and develop it and gain some kind of good result in this very lifetime for you to experience. So when it comes to that, you always have to remember, just listening something or just believing something or following something not going to enough for our life. It is very necessary. To build up a very conventional knowledge, we need to do that things. But out of that all, it's kind of like a practicing ourselves, giving us an opportunity to experience this. Because this wisdom path is beyond our kind of like thoughts. So thoughts is very limited. It has a very limited capacity according to the words that you know. So in case if you don't know the words, it is very difficult for you to get that understanding. But when it comes to experience, this path, it's not like that. It's not belong to just the thought. It's mostly come out of the practice. So in this practice, mainly we try to see the very behavior of our own life. And when it comes to that, the very basic hindrance for this, why it is difficult for us to understand this, because idea of self, I am, and unclarity or the doubt that we have regarding even what we know. But if you look very carefully, your own life, your own history will show you what is the very nature of life. Because you can't have a life beyond the nature. But still, even though we experience it, we don't see it. So that's why we have to practice like this. So out of practicing what we do, out of practicing, we clean our mind. We clean our viewpoints. We clean the dust that we carry within us as opinions, or the ideas, or the thoughts. And when you clean that, you are capable to see things its own natural process. That understanding will take you to little bit more deeply to recognize the life you experience. And when it comes to this, in the very first step that you have to take, practicing a little bit, giving time for that. Because if you can't do that, even though you like something, you can't, it's kind of like you're not going to go there. And sometimes by hearing, maybe it's going to become a little bit difficult. See how many kind of like, people from the beginning, how many people they're afraid to swim. And in the beginning, when they going to the pool, even it is not deep that much, sometimes they're struggling. But little by little, once they start to practice themselves, they are capable to develop some kind of understanding. So that come only through practice. And riding a bicycle. From the beginning, you have no idea how you can do that. But little by little, when you start to practice, it gives a knowledge. That knowledge is not the knowledge you had from the beginning. And then after you are capable to ride yourself, and that knowledge also, not a different knowledge, came only from one day. So it came through the process. So this is something very important you have to understand. So you keep practice, and it's not going to get overnight, and it is the process that you're going to take you there. So then every day you have to remember that whatever that practice you do, it's a contribution to the path you develop yourself. So then it is your responsibility to give your best for that, because that today, whatever you practice, you're not going to do it tomorrow. In this very moment, this is the first time you experience this, and this is going to be the last time. So then, can you do your best for this? So like that every day, little by little, when you add your best to the practice, it's going to grow through you. So when you grow it like that way, you gain the clarity. So when it comes to our practice, there are two methods we talk about. So one is tranquility meditation, and another one is the vipassana meditation. So maintain a comfortable life. If you have a tranquility mind, it is good. But to develop and go beyond this samsaric journey and attain to the nibbana, that tranquility mind is not enough. So even in day-to-day life, just imagine, to get something done, it's not enough that you have the calmness. It's not enough even you have the balance. It's not enough even you have the undisturbed mind. When you do certain work, you have to have some kind of critical, analytical understanding, and you have to have ability to apply it to the moment. So that come out of deeper understanding regarding the system. So same thing happened to the mind also. You, in a certain level, you develop the tranquility state, undisturbed mind, you gain the balance little by little within yourself. But at the same time, you have to remember that calmness is not enough to understand this deeper mechanism. So far, in this session, time to time, we talk about two things. So the major important part out of this all, to get into a very clear understanding, what you have to have understanding about the self. So there is no permanent, unchangeable, independent self. Even though we experience things with this eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, is nothing permanent. And nothing happens independently itself. And at the same time, that whatever each and everything happens, it happens according to in that capacity. It doesn't have power to overtake another moment. So as example, what you experience with your eye, you can't experience with your ear. So the eye itself have its own nature or the capacity or the limitations or the boundaries to experience the world. The ear, because this is what in the beginning you have to understand. If you don't understand this, you can't go beyond. So with the ear, it has a different, it's not permanent, and it is not independent. Another thing, but what happened here, what you experience with the ear, limited only to the ear. But still, it is not independent. Nose the same, tongue the same, the entire body the same, and the mind the same. So in the very beginning, you have to understand this basic principle. That is one step you have to take. You have to take some little time, and just thinking is enough from the beginning. And use your thinking ability and develop your critical analytical understanding and recognize. And then you will see that's true. It is not a dogma. It is not believing. It is not some kind of theory that we build up out of the assumption. So once you understand it, it is about you. So that you a kind of like a understanding this I am or the self is come out of many experience. So that is one thing. So once you have that, the very next step you can take, see the difference in between name and form. Whatever the name is not the form. So this is, you have to have a very sharp and clear mind to understand this. So remember this and listen this very carefully. We step by step go into hit something today. That is very important. So the very next step, we recognize name and the form separately. So for that also you can take that hand. So we name this. It's a very basic physical way of to understand, only practice point of view. This theoretically we can go deeper when we explain into the names and the forms, but only practice point of view, just simply to understand what this is. We get a simple example. This is hand, but this is skin, this bones, and the muscles. It doesn't care about that name. Intellectually, we are the one who decide this as a hand. But when we communicate, in that communication, you don't see name and form separately when you say the hand. So like that, just imagine regarding our body, I am, and even that entire, that the things that we experience, it has two things, but we never separate it. So we take that everything as one thing. That is how we get tangled. So anything, if you look, that even that just imagine that the planets that today they found out there's a new planet, I think, I don't know, still they put a name for that. Anyhow, so before they find any kind of like a planet, it's there, and even we don't know it exists there. And then through the Hubble telescope, and they find out, somebody, found out, and then they analyze it and they come to, conclusion, okay, there is something. And then they put a name for that. It's a conventionally, we come to an agreement and we put a name. And then after that, whenever the person look that planet we can't see separately from the name. We look into it with the name. Just imagine this, all the tornadoes happen. And that all the tornadoes, when it start to develop somewhere, it doesn't have any name. But what happened after they put, once they recognize, okay, this is going to be a, category 1, 2, okay, then they put a name for that. And after that, from that moment to entire history, when they talk about that, they don't talk about the separately that tornado or the hurricane or that any natural disaster that happened with the weather without that name. And they recognize it with that name. So for us, when we hear with the name, and it's kind of like the name inside this. But the name happened separately. So this is the second thing that you have to understand separately. Name and form. Whatever you see, whatever you hear, smell, taste, always, if you are capable, little bit take time and separate the name and form, then your mind become little bit clear with the idea of this self. Then what happened? That is the very interesting thing. Then now you have, the name, it doesn't have a thought. Whatever the name, it doesn't have a way to function, but this body have the ability. The body have ability to intellect and go through the desires and perceive the perception and the motion, development, nourishment. So all these activities and reacting to any emotions or the thoughts and maintaining, this all be done by this physical body. So then there was a question. Now name and form separated. So now in this form, how this form come to this level? And that is mean there is something, this thinking pattern, thoughts, or the mind. But the mistake is, if you can't separately recognize name and form separately, you can't see inside this form how the thought happens. So it's up to you. If you can't jump bungee jumping, you don't go there. You know, there is no shortcut. So that's why when you develop the tranquility state, clarity, you are capable to understand this. And then you recognize this body itself is not the mind. Because when the thought happens, I want to lift my right arm, I don't do it. But when I, want to do that, I can do it. But still, whenever thoughts happen, thought arise, is there, the body cannot function and the body not going to respond to that. And especially when it comes to feelings. And there were, in the history, people thought this body and mind together. And all the physicalism came from that idea. The name, the mind and the form is one thing. And the dualism means, no, the mind separate, the body separate. So if it is separate like that, is there anything that the mental, that completely separate, or how that separation going to work? And when something comes to your mind, so that's mean without physical, is there any way that you can get it? If not, like a perception, when you perceive with your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, and there is behind the consciousness work. So if that physical help, without that physical help, is there any way that you can get the mind? And in the history, that if you look very carefully, there are sometimes people capable, when the things happen, especially with the pain, the desire, and even reacting to the perception, and they overcome this natural behavior. Because when something happened to you, then naturally your body react to that through our nerve system, and it related to the brain. And so that if it is react that way, is that your mind or is that your thoughts? So somehow, like as example, in the ancient time, there were like warriors, and whatever the pain, difficulties that they went through, they didn't react like us. And they are so capable to handle that pain, like Spartans, super Spartans, and like super Spartans. And they are so capable not to react to the pain or the sensation or the desires. So then what does that mean? That means they have ability to go beyond this physical reaction. The physical, the pain is here, but the mind not react to that. And a samurai, and like when it comes to mastering the art, samurais, they don't express the pain or the fear. They don't have it. And sometimes in a certain level, even they're not going to show it. And then by the time when they master the skill, they're not going to have it, any pain or the sensation. So, but still, they know that. And like Navy SEAL, they have different training. And they are so capable to handle this physical pain or the sensation than us. So that's mean there is something that you can develop in you beyond this physical layer. But if you deeply don't observe, you can't understand how it happens. So through the meditation, and by the time you are capable to recognize that name separately, form separately, and in between this, there's the mind. But that mind is not separately, independently, permanently there. It also moment by moment, moment by moment, moment by moment developing. And there's into the mind, there's an ability, there are new thoughts arise. And then once the new thought arises, that new thought not going to be connect with the old one, but the old one need to be there to have this new thought. But once the new thought arises, it not going to go with the old one. So like there are some children, and once they're born, they're not going to go with the parents or their culture or the relatives, or kind of, they completely separate from. But it doesn't mean that child itself can come to this world. So like that, your thoughts also, there are some thought can arise, and once that thought arises, and it becoming new. And it then, so like that, this happens so fast. And through the tranquility meditation, in the beginning, you calm down the system, but to get into this bottom or deeper level, or to the root level, you have to have very clear analytical understanding. So the vipassana is, that's why you need, it take you to deeper grill, because it is so deep that your mind, your thought pattern happen in deep. It's not on the outside skin. This skin, this bones, this all the muscles came out of thoughts. But now the muscle can behave independently. But it came out of the thought. So that's why from the beginning, when you come to the mother's womb, you come with the one thought, one single thought. It's a consciousness. But from there, look what happens. It is start to build more and more and more. So the thing is this, that whatever happened to you so far, even though that in the surface level that you see, this is my life and this is what I want, but behind, if you look a little bit behind your eyes, this everything happened with the different kind of mechanism. That mechanism we don't understand mostly. So if you don't understand it, you can't stop it. So especially when it comes to the birth. See that birth not going to happen because of that, out of that whatever you want or your wish. The most of time birth happen according to its own nature or the karma. So otherwise anybody can born in according to the place they want. They can't. There are some incidents, there are some places that talk about in the history. There are some people born with the greater determination. Once you sharp your mind and clear your mind, if you can handle the intention and you can place your last thought in a certain place. But it is different. But ordinary for us, it is not our choice that we took our birth with our parents or wherever the place. So then what you need to remember, in this very moment, if you die, there is a pattern of thought in you, not the muscles, because we drop the muscles, not this form, we drop the form, and it is not the name, we drop the name, but still the birth going to happen. So how this happen? Because behind this name and form, there is a thought current keep happening. So that thought currents, you can't catch by the words. You can't catch it by word. Like as emotions, energy, motion. So this both in us. And when it comes to emotions, you can't catch that emotions by words. So to catch that emotion, you have to drop the words and go beyond it. So same thing happen in day-to-day life within yourself. When you see something, hear something, smell something or like that, while you are dealing with this outside world with the words or the name and form, unknowingly, invisibly underneath, there is something happening with your deeper mind. If you don't see it, you're going to end up being sorry.com because you have no idea where you go. So that's why we have to practice and calm down and develop the mind to see that. You can see it because it's happening there. You can see it. You are capable. As a human being, you are capable to understand this. But just pondering, just looking over, just surface level or the touching the skin, you can't. So that's why the Vipassana level will give you a very clear cut or very clear path for yourself to address to that deeper what happened. Then once you see that, you are not going to respond to the name or the form because you are now see what is happening with this thought. And once you see that, you recognize that thought happens with something. The thought itself not going to happen. Or that whatever the mind itself not going to happen. It needs some kind of place to hold. Some kind of things to hold. So that is what called intention. Without intention, the mind not going to be there. How the intention come? Why the intention is there? Today we're going to get into that. Why you have all these intentions? Now remember that there is how you can attain to the Nibbana, because your mind always have ability to bring the new thoughts even. It happened there. And when you have ability to have new thoughts, that thought is not the old one. So in the very beginning, to start the process, go towards the Nibbana, what you can do. So now so far, I hope you understand this thought. Beyond your name and form, there is a thought pattern, and that thought pattern happens with the intention. So how the intention going to be there? Why you have intention for anything? There are surface level. You believe self. I am. This is me. Me, my, I am. So that kind of things. That is one thing. And another thing for this intention to be there. Otherwise, it cannot be. Intention doesn't come because of the previous karma. Intention comes only with one reason. If you get this, you change your life. You can change it. You can come completely different person. So how the intention come? Why you have the intention? You may think it's a lust, desire, anger. So you can name many things. So the intention going to be there because of repetition of it. Otherwise, it's not going to be there. One of the very secret behavior of the karma, repetition. Take one, you have to look very carefully, slowly, look anything. If you don't repeat anything, what will happen to that? So now you know why you are like this. Unknowingly, you repeat something. So then how about this? You come to a point and you completely get a new format for you, because there is ability, remember, there is ability for yourself to gain new thoughts. And you get a new thought. So to get that, you have to have some thought behind you. And using that, in the beginning, you can develop a very profitable format for you. So another way that it's called the, the profitable skills, good karma, wholesome actions. So you get a very good profitable format for yourself. And then you start to go with that. And you repeat with that. So in that way, you develop a certain kind of clarity, because this is a system, this is a mechanism happening in you. In certain level, once your mind becomes purified and clear, and you minimize these tangles happening in you. Now you are so clear to understand, and you are capable to see that underneath this name and form, how the thoughts happening. And now you know it is happened with the desire, and the desire going to be there because of invisible repetition. That invisible repetition is there because I believe this is me. And now you slowly, name and form, release, there is no me. And then anymore, repetition not going to be there, because it doesn't have any weight on it. It doesn't have any power over it. And when you try to repeat it, something I am, and then you recognize, boom, there is name, you separate name and form, then yourself, you know, there's no I am. And that slow down. It slow down. And then while it slow down, what happened underneath, the desire, the power of that, the desire, intention, going to reduce. And then while your name and form is there, but still that the holding desire, grasping desire, going to slow down in a certain level. Even while your name and form exist, the underneath, that desire, you can completely stop. So that is how there are some enlightened masters. There are many different ways to attain to enlightenment. Some attain to enlightenment after when they die. When they end this life, they're not going to come back again. So now you know how it happened, because there's no intention, desire behind the thought. And it reducing the idea of the self. And there is another way to attain to enlightenment. While they're living, they attain to enlightenment, like the Buddha and most of the enlightened masters used to. They attain to the enlightenment, but still they live. So now you know how, because their name and form is there, but still the desire govern, intention, repetition of these habitual patterns within their thoughts, not there. So that is why out of their perception, they have the clarity, and the moment by moment, they have the newness. Because that is the very nature of the body and mind, always going to become new. So you also have that ability. You don't need any special quality or the permission or the extra saving. Oh, you don't need to give a big puja or do a kind of like a ceremony to get that. In right now, right here, if you understand it, you are there because it is happening in you. So only thing is you have to have very clear mind, but it's clear is not enough. That is the other thing. You have to have very this analytical, deeper to observe and see without becoming biased to that experience and to investigate. So that is something that you investigate without rejecting or accepting whatever is there. So that is the method of the vipassana. So that's why there are some people, they don't need to practice this way because each and every person has a different way of history. There are some people right away, they see something, they recognize it, they hear something, one word, they're done. But if it not happen to you like that way, this is a good opportunity for yourself to practice a little bit and develop it and get this opportunity and have that wisdom with you. It's open for anybody. It's nothing to do with any religious, or it's nothing to do with any kind of rituals or the culture or the tradition. Or if you are a human, you can understand it. Why? Because that is the very behavior of the nature or the very reality that you experience. That's it. You don't need to understand something else. You understand this process. And that way, your mind is free. And out of that freedom, you gain the reality. So with that, let's get into practice a little bit. So your right palm on your left hand neck, head straight in one line and be comfortable with your posture. So bring your attention to your body and scan head to toes yourself and say Sopatveva, or may I be well and happy 3 times. Take a moment and think. We gathered here in this moment to practice this ancient meditation technique. All the Buddhas, all the enlightened masters followed this path and achieved wisdom. So we also gathered here to accumulate that knowledge. In this moment with this sitting, may my body become more comfortable, may my breath be more smooth, may no difficulties come to me. May all the success come to me. Also think for a moment, this is the last moment we're spending in this very lifetime, and detach your mind from all your past memories and as well as any kind of future thoughts. Just try to remain in the present moment, observing the sensation of your inhalations and exhalations. So in the beginning, deeply and gently, breathe in, breathe out 3 times and find the sensation, please. And allow your inhalations, exhalations happen itself. And through the sensation, recognize it, do nothing extra. Bring attention to your body, please. Observe your posture. We cultivate loving kindness and compassion in our heart and radiate it as a light through entire your compound, village, city, state, country, world, around this universe. Also as far as you can through galaxies, other planets, the stars. Reminding yourself like this. With clear intention, mentally repeat after me. May all living beings in this universe be well and happy. May everyone be happy and safe. And may their hearts be filled with joy. May all living beings live in security and in peace. Beings who are frail or strong, tall or short, big or small, visible or not visible, near or far away, already born or yet to be born. May all of them dwell in perfect tranquility. Let no one do harm to anyone. Let no one put the life of anyone in danger. Let no one out of anger or ill will wish anyone any harm. Expand the loving kindness and compassion beginning from your heart. Forward. Visualize yourself and send it as a light. To your backside. To your left side. And to your right side. Downward. And upward. To all 6 directions at once, like the moon, the sun, spread the light, spread the energy, without any condition, without any limitation, without any resistance or without any judgment. Let your heart to shine with the loving kindness and compassion from the bottom of it, with the maximum effort to the highest, wishing yourself, may all living beings in this universe be well and happy. Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So first of all, we offer this practice to the great qualities of the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. And also by the power of this meritorious deed, may all of us attain to the supreme bliss of Nibbana. May all your guardian angels and deities will receive these merits and increase their longevity and protect all of you from any kind of planetary influences or any ill effects. Ittavata chammi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe bhutanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe sattanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Imaya dhammanu dhamma patipattiya. Buddham pujemi dhammam pujemi sangham pujemi. Addaya imaya patipattiya jati jara vyadhi maranam paribunjissami. Idamme punya kammang savakkaya vahantu sabba dukkha pamunchatu. Bless you.